Welcome back to Movies TV Mad. I admit your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends, wives, and especially your boyfriends and your husbands a very warm welcome back to Movies TV Mad and Tuesday's edition of the DCU Daily. Well. It only seems like yesterday we were talking about Superman a mere 2 years ago. When I was saying to you, this film will come around very quickly for James Gunn, and he better have a strong stomach. So I have screenshotted some embargo-lifted reactions about Superman. I will read them to you after we deal with another important subject, because the MAGA community, the Make America Great Again community, are furious with James Gunn and his brother Sean for merely saying that Superman is about someone from another place. Superman is about an immigrant. In fact, to be accurate, Superman is an illegal immigrant. From the 10 years we watched of Smallville, he never got a green card. He never became a legal immigrant. I don't know. I haven't read every single comic. I don't know if he's a legal immigrant in the comics. But in the Superman movies, I never saw him get a green card. And in 10 years of Smallville, I never saw him become a legal person, a legal migrant. But that's what Superman is. So I'm going to upset my Make America Great Again friends, because I don't take sides politically. If I like you, I like you, and every single person, no matter your political beliefs, your beliefs on the trans community, positive or negative. I don't care who you are, straight, trans, whatever. I love you all, and you're welcome to consume my content, right? Let's be absolutely clear about that. But my parents were legal immigrants to the United Kingdom. They were born here in Cyprus. So obviously, I'm not going to have a problem with immigrants. Now, if you have, that's down to you. I can't teach you. I'm not going to teach you. I'm not going to give you the right thing or the wrong thing. It's not worth it. But basically, what James Gunn said, there was nothing wrong with it. There was nothing wrong with what James Gunn said. It was factual. Superman is about a character from another place. It's about an immigrant. Facts. You can twist that. You can call that lecturing. Whether or not James Gunn should have gone down this direction, I don't think there's anything wrong with cataloguing that Superman is a character from another place and doing that in your movie and calling him an immigrant. But maybe in the marketing and the publicity, just keep your mouth shut about it, because basically they want everyone to consume this movie. Warner Brothers are desperate for this film to make money. And at this point, we don't know if it will or not. Now, James was asked at the premiere of this film about the MAGA community, and he said he judges no one. He wants everyone to come and see this movie. Of course he does. He wants this movie to make top dollar. So he said he's not judging anyone, right? It was a great response, and it's what a pro would do. Now, his brother didn't hold back. Sean, I think Sean Gunn's a multi-talented lad, but he really didn't hold back. He said, we love immigrants. And he was saying something like, if you don't, you're not an American. Something along those lines, I'm paraphrasing. That probably was a step too far. You can think it, but not say it. I mean, who am I to tell people who's American or not? Patriotism, right, and immigration is a passionate subject. And I don't want to get into the rights and wrongs of it, because there's no point. This is an entertainment channel. We talk about films and television, and predominantly DC movies and sometimes DC TV. I don't want to get into politics, because YouTube movie talk has become very, very political. And if you want that kind of talk, you can go over to Jeremy Prime at Geeks and Gamers. You can go to Garrett Neurotic. I like those guys. I consume them myself. I don't agree with them politically, but I think they're ultra talented, content creators, and I have a lot of respect for them. Now, I once argued with Jeremy, but that's in the past, right? On Twitter. But that's in the past. Once I've said my bit, it's over. I don't hold grudges with anyone. And if you hold a grudge with me and you still got me blocked, you should probably unblock me, because for me, the war is over. The war didn't even start. All I've got in my heart is love. If you've got hate, it's only going to hurt you. Hate only hurts the hater, right? So I'm not going to talk politics. All I'm going to say to you is what Gunn's done in this movie is exactly who Superman is. I've got different opinions about this movie. I think it's an inconsistent movie. It goes from soaring to, to falling flat on its face, to being cringy, to being great. It's a mixture. That's the difficulty about this film, and this is going to be the difficulty about my review, because I'm going to say good things and bad things about this movie. I'm not just going to tell you it's crap, because this movie isn't good or crap or great or good. It's all of those things. It has all of those moments, regrettably. So that's my opinion about the MAGA outrage. Nothing to see here. James Gunn has said nothing wrong. It's true. Superman is an illegal immigrant. He's a character from another place. James Gunn has said nothing wrong. He's not lecturing the public. He also said that this is a film about kindness. And I've said this many times. I think it's hilarious and hypocritical for an industry that's probably the cruelest, most evil industry known to man, known to humankind, to talk about kindness. Because no matter the face they show, they are not kind. We know the illicit behaviour that goes on behind the scenes in Hollywood. Jesus Christ, we saw one cast member take a chunk out of another cast member at a comic convention or a convention or whatever it was, right? The Cobra Kai bloke did it to the Cobra Kai gal, right? Ridiculous. Now their illicit behaviour is there for everyone to see. They're fucking mad, bad, evil, and insane. You, sir, should not be lecturing me about kindness. But to be fair to Gunn, a Superman film should be about kindness, because that is the aesthetic of the character. So it's not really a lecturing device, this film. Superman is kind. So the film should be about human kindness. And sometimes this film pulls it off, and sometimes it doesn't, unfortunately. So I don't have any issue about the MAGA outrage. I think it's funny that Gunn's getting heat over it. I mean, I don't hate the guy, and I don't hate his brother Sean, right? I have no hate. As I say, I've got no hate in my heart. I don't actually pray every night for this film to fail, but I catalogue it. I have a laugh at some of the nonsense that goes on with this movie and the shills and all of that, because I'm still very angry about what happened to the Snyderverse, how they brought Cavill back, then fired him. They lied they never were going to bring him back. That behaviour, my friends, is disgusting. But it has nothing to do with James Gunn, and it has nothing to do with this film. But of course the Snyder Army are going after Gunn. You would expect that. Let's be absolutely clear here. That's not what I'm doing here. Anyway, let's look at 5 or 6 of these embargo lifted reactions. And I want to say something about these embargo lifted reactions. They're a continuation of the marketing. These are people who want continued access, and they're never going to go after their overlords. They're never going to be truthful about films. There's loads more reactions on Twitter and on other platforms if you want to give them a read for yourselves. I can sit there all day like screenshotting 60 reactions. It's not worth it. So go and do some groundwork yourselves as well. I'm just going to tell you what some of them are saying. Basically, let's go back in time to prove to you that these embargo lifted reactions are part of the marketing. Blue Beetle, an average movie at best. It was the bestest movie ever, according to the embargo lifted reactions. And the Flash movie, according to these people, was the best comic book movie in the genre. We now know they lied. Now, I can't remember what the reviews were like or the Rotten Tomatoes scores. My gut feeling about the Rotten Tomatoes score for Superman is that it will creep in to be fresh. I think it probably will be, it will get a fresh like the Suicide Squad did. So maybe about 98%, but we may be surprised. It may be lower than that. But I do have a gut feeling that James Gunn's Superman will be verified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes by verified critics. And that wouldn't surprise me. We've seen verified movies on Rotten Tomatoes, verified fresh movies on Rotten Tomatoes, flop, be disaster. But let's be clear again, we do not know. This film has always been an unknown quantity in terms of how the critics were going to react, how the Rotten Tomatoes score is going to be, but none of that matters. The only thing that matters is the box office. And James Gunn, again, has responded to people saying if the movie doesn't make at least 700 million, it's a flop. He's calling this out as utter nonsense. That's funny, James. I didn't know Warner Brothers Discovery was a non-profit company, a non-profit venture. You need to make a profit. You need to make as much money as possible. You know how important this movie is. So stop trying to, let's say, calm down expectations in terms of the box office. Maybe you know the box office isn't going to be that high. That's why you're calling it out as nonsense. It's not. At the very least, you have to make more money than Man of Steel. And of course, your movie may do that. It may not do that. We'll find that out by the end of the week. And here on Movies TV Mad, we'll be reporting that to you in an unbiased way, but also in a biased way, by me responding to that and telling you, in my opinion, whether I think the box office is good or bad. So let's read these reactions. He did it. This is from Epic Film Guy. He did it. James Gunn's Superman flies high, vibrant, light-hearted, and action-packed. It's a true-to-form comic book adaptation, surging with hope. David Corenswet embodies the definitive Superman for a new generation. This is the Superman movie we've been waiting for. Well, some of you have been waiting for it. Let's pull back the curtain on the words. Flies high, vibrant, light-hearted. Well, I told you that already. That's what they wanted. This is what the studio told Gunn they wanted. And they got it. And action-packed. It's a true-to-form comic book adaptation. Because this is what they were bitching about when Man of Steel was released. That this is the type of film they wanted. You're going to have to make your own minds up about that. So we move on. This is Brandon Pope TV. James Gunn cooked. Almost got too goofy. That's interesting, but never crossed the line. Well, optimism and hope shine bright. Slight 1978 Donna vibes, but establishes itself as a Superman for a new age. Just what we needed. Full review on Tuesday. So the reviews are coming out on Tuesday. I'm going to re-watch this film on Thursday. Then I'll give you my spoiler review on Friday or Saturday. I don't have to follow the sheep. I'm not a sheep. I'll wait, right? I'll wait. But you will get my spoiler review. This is Superman. This matters. John Nguyen, whatever that is. Superman is exactly what you'd expect from a James Gunn Superman film, and a great start for DCU films. There's heart, comedy, awesome action sequences, and fun characters. David Corenswet portrayed Clark Kent Superman spectacularly, with humanity, Crypto, and Mr. Terrific are absolute standouts. And this is interesting because he got a shout out from the official Superman Twitter account. This is what they said. We love your Superman post comment. Would love to include some of all of your content in our marketing promotions. Please respond back yes. If you authorize this, thank you. I have nothing further, Your Honour. The prosecution rests. Told you. Paid up shills, and their pay is continued access. So none of this matters. That Superman official page confirms it. They want to use what one of these embargo lifted reactions is, as marketing. These are nothing more than part of the marketing. And they put it on the posters, and they put it on the DVDs, blah, 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 to help sell the movie. Brian Sudfield, Superman soars with heart. humour and style. A bold yet faithful take on the iconic hero, James Gunn sets a fresh tone while honouring the character's legacy, and David Conswett shines with sincerity and strength, a promising, thrilling start to DC's new era. Interesting. Will the box office tell the same story? We, my friends, will see. Gunn did it. This is the Nerds of Colour. Superman is a remarkable achievement for DC official and superhero films. Epic, heartfelt and hopeful. The definitive cinematic version of Clark and Lois. Wow. And Lex, Conswett and Brosnahan have amazing chemistry, and Holt's Lex is a big highlight. So, that's interesting. It's going to be interesting if all you lot agree with that. I don't agree with all of that. As I said, this film is a conundrum of the good, the bad, and the ugly. I could lie to you and say it's totally shit, but I'm not going to do that for clicks and likes and anger bait. I'm not going to do that. It's a contradiction. Basically, this film is exactly what I expected, what I hoped we'd get, and what I feared we would get. That's what this film is, and it's a lot of different films. It's a mixed bag. It's as simple as that. And anyone who says it's totally bad or totally good is fucking lying to you. So, this is an interesting one. Actually, I'll read it from the beginning because I screenshotted this in 2 parts. This is from Geeks Vibes Nation. I quite like Geek Vibe Nation, but let's read this shit out. Superman is a thoroughly entertaining reboot of the world's greatest superhero and his respective universe. James Gunn leans heavily into colourful camp, yielding many sequences that feel like they were ripped straight from a Golden Age comic book. He has a blast inventing dizzyingly creative uses of Clark's powers and how he uses them to save everyone, humans and animals alike. Despite its gleeful embrace of superhero zaniness, filtered through Gunn's irreverent vision, the film does ask potential and relevant questions about self-actualization and nature of heroism and the consequences of the nature versus nurture debate that fit well within the Superman canon. What's interesting about this, Smallville did this much better in 10 years. It's an ambitious effort that sometimes feels too ambitious, interesting, as its efforts to service multiple characters and world builds can undermine its character arcs and make you question whether their beats are properly earned. It's most apparent in Lois and Clark's relationship. Now this is very interesting. We need to look at this again because this is very interesting. It's something I kind of thought to myself as I watched the film. So let's go back, right? It's an ambitious effort that sometimes feels too ambitious, as its efforts to surface multiple characters and world build can undermine its character arcs and make you question whether their beats are properly earned. It's most apparent in Lois and Clark's relationship. Now this is interesting, because if we go back to George Reeves, here's Lois and here's Clark, perfect. If we go back to Reeves and Kidder, perfect. If we go back to Kane and, what's her name, Terry Hatcher, fucking perfect, right? Smallville, God, I'm forgetting names now. Tom Welling and Erica Durant, that's like one of my favourite iterations of Superman. How can I forget their names? But yeah, Welling and Durant, absolutely perfect. And then Hotchlin and, I forgot her name, I'm forgetting names, but in Superman Alive, fucking perfect. But this is interesting because this starts off really, really positive, but then it starts telling you basically that this is an overstuffed mess that messes up the character arcs, rushes the character arcs to squeeze other things in. And let me tell you why this is true. And I said to you when I responded initially to this film, when people were calling me a liar, actually all of this, and there's another screenshot I've got to read to you, this from Geek Vibe Nation proves I wasn't fucking lying to you and that I actually have seen the movie. But anyway, I digress. So that's interesting, but we go to the rest of this. Despite some unevenness, right, yeah? So I'll tell you what they mean. What do you think unevenness means? What have I been saying for the past few days? That Superman is, what's the word I've been saying? That Superman is an inconsistent film. That's what unevenness means. The film is fucking inconsistent. Again, it proves I wasn't lying and I had seen the fucking movie. It's a win for anyone who comes to this channel and puts faith in me. So thank you for that, because I was never fucking lying. And this initial embargo lifted reaction from Geek Vibes Nation proves it. Gunn gets strong performances out of his cast. David Cronsworth wears the red cape well and brings real dimension to Superman's inherent goodness and its clash with the wavering sense of self and duty. Rachel Brosnahan is an excellent Lois Lane, bringing the powers that be to heal with the unyielding compromise and a teasing wink. Nicholas Holt's Lex Luthor takes some getting used to, as he's less menacing than you'd expect. Absolutely spot on. Nicholas Holt is a parody Lex Luthor in this fucking film, as I already told you. And Holt, a fantastic actor, a fantastic young man, is done fucking dirty creatively. Lex Luthor simply doesn't work. They try and do a kind of Gene Hackman Lex Luthor here, and it doesn't really work. Poor Nick should have been cast as Superman, by the way. Anyway, but Holt is a gleeful scenery chewer. The film's greatest surprise is Ed Gafigi as Mr. Terrific, who recalls Danny Glover's exasperation in Lethal Weapon. Despite its sprawl, Superman, like its cousin, the Batman, is the breath of fresh air that DC Studios needs to cast aside its messy recent history and start anew. And as I quote tweeted this will be part of DC's messy history, because they keep on making mistake after mistake. And the biggest mistake was not allowing Snyder to finish his arc. The Snyderverse will haunt them until these people running this studio, whether it's Zaslav or anyone else, will ever admit that there was a mistake. Unless they allow Snyder to finish what he started, the fans are going to be coming after them, and even the people who hate Snyder are going to be thinking, you should have let the guy finish what he started. So very interesting thoughts from Geeks Vibe Nation. Actually, probably the most honest one I probably screenshot. Now this is Tasmin, the aspiring Kryptonian. Now, you probably know her. I like Tasmin, but unfortunately, she's one of those people who does this, who sees the film early and gives these reactions. I don't like that she does that, but I like her comic book reviews and I like everything she does, so I wouldn't go after her personally. I respect her as a huge Superman fan. It's ripped straight from the pages of a comic book. This is a Superman I can't wait to introduce to my son. It's fun, hopeful, and everything a Superman movie should be. I loved it. If this is what James Gunn's DCU looks like, you can count me all the way in. So you can tell from the shilling and the little bit of the dishonesty here, it's a brief kind of paragraph, unlike the Geek Vibes Nation. That tells you that she didn't really feel it, but she has been given the access and she has to say something nice. That's what I read from this. Joseph Deckelmeyer. James Gunn and cast really bottled that classic Superman magic in this film. As someone who grew up buried in DC Comics, this felt like watching my childhood leap off the page in real time. It's for families, comic book nerds, and anyone who has ever loved a good dog story. Well, when I went to see Superman, I didn't go to see a good dog story. Let me be honest, it ain't a good fucking dog story either. And that, my friends, are the reactions, the embargo lifted reactions that I screenshotted. And as I say, be my guests, go and check some more out, but they were always going to be this shilling. But what's always interesting, like all these gun bots and these pro-gun DC accounts are saying, yeah, it's a success, in your face, Snyder stands. It's not a defeat for the Snyder stands. The victory of the maga outrage is a victory for Snyder fans. But what's a bigger victory for Snyder fans is if you read a little bit deeper into the embargo lifted reactions, like the reaction from Geek Vibes Nation. It tells another story. So my gut says this will just about be a verified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, but who knows? I will be back tomorrow and the next day and the next day to cover this fascinating situation and this fascinating film. In terms of MAGA and right-wing YouTubers, what they want, what people like Nerd Roddick and Jeremy Prime really want, is for Superman to make money, even though now they've gone a little bit against the MAGA kind of cause. But still, they'd rather Warner Brothers do well, while Disney fail. So what they want is Superman to succeed and the Fantastic Four movie to flop. We will see what happens. Thank you for being a viewer. Press like, share, and tag me on Twitter and let me know what you think of my content. Movies TV Mad. See you later.